Righto. Next little project is to rewire the GN400. I'm going to be using half mil cable instead of 1 mil. Lose a lot of that stuff and convert it to 12 volt. I've put LEDs in the idiot lights, so I'm halfway there. I might put a fuse box in it as well, flasher relays to have a look at. That's the original 6 volt battery, so I've got a 12 volt to go in its place, because these lights aren't the best in the world. This is from Rex's speed shop down in Kent near 1066 CAF. And apparently all you do is they give you wiring diagrams and everything, and once you've fitted it you can do away with the diode and this rectifier. The main reason for changing it to 12 volt is there's no indicators on it, and I do use it at night, and trying to do hand signals wearing black stuff at night is just, people don't see it at the best of times. So I've got the original indicators, which I just want these little bits for, that fit in these holes. There's a square insert, so rather than put a great big ugly washer over there, I can actually put the original indicator mounts back in there and put the indicators on it. The rears hang off of these brackets which bolt there. That bolt also goes through the frame and holds the mudguard on. So I might actually utilise these. Looks like a 10 mil. Got a new coil. I've got a spare wiring loom, but when I did my sidecar I just took everything, just took the entire wiring loom off it, started from scratch with a trusty old wiring diagram. The trouble with this is I can get a wiring diagram for UK spec, which is EO2 I believe, but this bike was an import, so none of the wiring diagrams I've got in that manual marry up to this bike. They're all very, very, very similar. You got American and Canadian specs which are slightly different, but this little fella here with 4 wires, green with a red tracer, black and white, orange, yellow and red, no idea what that is for, but following the wires up to the idiot lights, this was the bit that plugged into them, yellow and red, green and red, orange, black and white. That, the yellow and red and the black and white were taped up, so whatever that relay does, there's nothing plugged in the other end of it. The other 2 wires go to the bottom light on the idiot lights, which is red. So you've got full beam at the top, indicators neutral. That tells me that's either a charging light or an oil pressure light, but I don't know, because that relay goes onto there. There's no it must be charging, because there's no oil pressure going into, there's no other leads going in. These two have been taped up there, which leaves these two for the light. So I don't know, it's just confusing. I've got two of these to try out. So it it must be a charging light that comes off of some other, from the instrument cluster somehow. So that'll be done away with, and I'll put a flasher relay in there. The 12 volt will fit nicely in there. I've got a spare one of these. This is a spare from a friend of mine off a DR400. My one I'm going to take to Rex's speed shop, get them to rebuild it. That'll be gone. That'll be gone. So rather than chop wires out of here, I like to have things that I can always reverse. So I'll just take the whole loom off, make up a fresh loom, convert the lighting and the lights side of it to 12 volt with this nice little battery. It will fit in there with a bit of jiggery pokery. I might take this off from inside and just manipulate this fella, just to, because once it's in, I can't then get a strap on it or anything. So, but that'll fit with under the side cover. I'll have a decent 12 volt battery. I've got to order some LED indicators. I don't like LED indicators, but I don't fancy bulbs. The suspension on this is still really harsh. You hit a speed hump or you hit a pothole in the road, you really know it. So take all the old wiring loom off. Again, on the sidecar, I had these looms running back down the frame and joining underneath, under the tank, rather than in the headlight. There's just a bundle of snakes in here. Look at them. Also, I will try and keep the lighting, make a separate lighting loom and a separate charging loom. So, you know, one can come off, one can be dealt with. New coil, flasher relay in there, just sort of, and thinner core wire, 1/2 mil instead of 1. I mean, these all look good. I'm getting new connectors, new bullets, new spades, new everything. These are sort of getting on for 30 years old now, or maybe a bit more, 1980. So yeah, it's over 30 years old. It's the plastic is hard, so it's not ideal. It works. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I've been using it virtually every day, but I just want to stick a new wiring loom on it. Basically, I've got a spare engine. This engine has got, I believe it's the original mileage as well, because being an import, it's sat for years in a importers, and it was sold, so under 3,000 miles. The engine is as sweet as a nut. I have got another clutch, because when you warm the bike up, you have to hold the clutch lever in, otherwise you put it in gear and the clutch is a bit sticky and it will lurch forwards and stall. So the plates are obviously where they've sat compressed under the springs for years and years. They're a bit tired, so I've got another clutch, stick that in. My other engine, I'll keep this engine as standard because, like I said, it's under 3,000 miles. The other engine I'll bugger about with. I might stick a 500 top end on it, or bore it out to 500. And these silly ideas you get when you can't sleep at night. This great big airbox, if I was to take that out, I reckon I could fit a turbo in there, a little turbo. And I've looked at let me get a torch. Obviously turbos need, so I've got gasket paper. That's the old gasket off the other engine. I can use that as a template, make up another gasket for the clutch. The oil on these, that rusty nut there, bolts down. That's one of your cylinder studs. The oil comes up that one, and there's bloody petrol pipes in the way. That's a nice little opening there. We call it an orifice in the trade. I do like an orifice. That's not going to stay there, is it? I could get a longer stud, because the oil pump in here whizzes oil up that stud to the cylinder head. If I get a longer stud, 10mm, I'll have to measure. I'll get a banjo, the banjo bolt will fit in there, banjo fitting, and the oil feed can come out to the turbo, and then going back in I can just drill and tap on top of the engine somewhere. Banjo bolts, for those that don't know, that's a banjo fitting. That bolt is hollow. This is it's just round with a tail on it, so that the fluid, in this case brake fluid, can flow through a bolt and out through a fitting. Copper washers each side. So that's a banjo fitting, and they're not very big. You can see it's less than an inch, just over half an inch. I reckon I could get one in there, take the oil feed off on the other engine. The battery would obviously have to be relocated. But again, these engines, you can run them without batteries. Being a kickstart and the way the electrics are generated, you don't need a battery. Obviously the problem you have then in the winter is, as you're revving it, the lights are going up and down, bright, dim, bright, dim, bright. So it's not best for winter riding, but summer riding, just to loon about on, would be great. Yeah, so I shall, once I've ordered all the bits, I'll start making other videos. Coil, 12-volt conversion, battery, different indicators, use those fittings, whack a clutch in it, modify the bracket to take the 12-volt battery, LED lamps front and rear. The front one's a strange little fella. It's a P. Again, these wires, change all those wires, resolder them. I've seen the Rex's Speed Shop do the LED versions of this. It's really gone a bit black, look, see it? Which means he's not happy. But they're like 30 quid. But this going to have a bump, is this going to blow? So an LED, one of them. LED indicators, stop and tail. These little fellas, job's a good one. Do away with the gear position sensor, which I have put there. You might be able to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, if you don't know what gear you're in, you shouldn't really be riding a bike. I might, rather than just have the main fuse on the battery, which is an inline fuse taking up all that space, nasty little thin leads, so I've got decent leads, earth and live. I might stick this fuse box, there might be enough room between this and the actual air filter proper. Just get some short, fat, self-tapping screws. I would rather a fuse box. See, these obviously need a live in one side and then a feed out the other, supply feed. Again, keep harping on about the sidecar. The fuse box I've got in that has got a great big live into the middle, and you can just have your feeds, all your feeds coming off. That's quite a bit bigger. That's a double row, about 10 fuses on that one. See, this one I'll have to have a live in for every fuse I've got coming out. I could have a big fat lead and just bridge all of these. I'll see, I'll think about it. But this, I mean, it's a great big old wiring loom. Most of the wires won't be needed. There's 4 there for a start. The wires that come up for the gear position sensor, I might renew that loom and just cover that, heat shrink it shut, so that if I need to put it back on I can just make up a loom, put that fitting back in the clocks and plug it in. Sorry? Yes? Anything else? Rude. That's it. So more videos to come. We'll see how we get on. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.